Radio.
Great, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Shit Radio, an unrefined podcast for the everyman. I'm Brasky, that's Liars, that's Wasted. Tonight on the show, we're going to review the Charlie Sheen Netflix documentary. So, first person we're going to go over to right now is Wasted, because he's our Charlie Sheen expert. Wasted, quick thoughts after seeing this 3-hour-long documentary on Netflix.
I enjoyed it. It went past in a heartbeat.
Well, that's exciting, Liars.
I also think it flowed pretty well, actually. Overall, I have mixed reviews about it. Some parts were good, sometimes not so good. I think at the end of the day, he's just another Hollywood rich kid who is the bad boy of his family, the black sheep, and got into trouble with drugs and the law, and his family's fame and wealth and presence and a moniker helped him get out of a lot of situations growing up, and I think he's very fortunate, and a little bit of narcissism in him as well. But still, it was an entertaining 3 hours. I mean, I was doing some housework in the kitchen, and it was on, and I was watching it, and I did eventually stop doing the work and completely sit down and watch it because I was finding it interesting. So mixed emotions,
Well,
mixed reviews from me. Go ahead.
3 hours long was way too long for this documentary. All right, this thing dragged. The first part of it, they could have condensed easily into like 15 minutes and gone like, hey, look, now he did platoon in Wall Street. This is how he became famous. I know they wanted to touch on his early family life. That's great. Oh, look, he was on he was on set for Apocalypse Now, and his dad had a heart attack. And, he was born. Congratulations. They don't even go into detail. Like, how long was he actually born, without a pulse or breathing? Did he come out and, not scream or make a sound for 5 seconds? The doctor slapped him and he cried, or was it longer than that? They don't go into any detail on that. They bring up the fact that he was supposed to be playing Danielson in Karate Kid, but he couldn't because it conflicted with a prior schedule. He had to go film Grizzly 2, and his dad told him he had to be a man of his word. Okay, a little bit interesting. But, he kind of later resented his, a couple months, maybe a year, that he didn't get to go do Karate Kid. But the fact that he was already in Red Dawn beforehand, and they tried to make it out like Ferris Bueller was his big break for 3 minutes in that, when he was already in Red Dawn, where he was easily in 20 minutes of fucking movie. The documentary itself felt like it was a narrative to like, hey, look, I'm Charlie Sheen and I'm clean and sober again. Give me another chance. Come on, guys, give me a TV show. That was kind of my feelings on it. It had some really interesting stories, some crazy celebrity stories. Wasted. What would you say was the craziest story that you heard in this Netflix documentary?
Probably, well, the most shocking, or the one maybe I hadn't heard so much, was that he was like, ordering from the other side of the menu, so to speak.
Yeah.
Well, no, be blunt.
I mean, I think he said, didn't he say he was having sex with men, when he was on crack. So, and he seemed to say some of it was fun and some of it was weird. But he definitely he's the only person I know that made sleeping with men seem like not a big deal or some kind of fun. At the same time, he was talking about having AIDS. I think he's the only one that makes AIDS and sleeping with men just seem like not that big a deal. I think he was relieved, wasn't he? He was relieved to get AIDS. He was thinking he was going to get something worse.
That was messed up, man. When he talked about that, because who's relieved when they get the AIDS diagnosis, terminal cancer?
I guess he was thinking it was maybe meningitis or like some cancer, or some liver problem. Like he's doing crack, he might end
Something.
up destroying his liver or something. And he's got a week to live. So I guess he's spinning it later. A little bit,
Yeah,
maybe.
this is definitely a spin. I'm sure when he got his results and he came back positive, he wasn't jumping up for fucking joy. I mean, this whole documentary really seems like it was, a certain spin by a PR team. I know that his father didn't want to do an interview, that Emilio Estevez, his brother, didn't want to do an interview. The people they had do interviews, they seemed like a scripted. The only person to me, which I know there's going to be a disagreement on this because we talked pre-show, they came off really likable, and the only person I felt was kind of a reliable person for the narrative of what actually happened was Cryer. I thought he was the person that really told you about the two Charlies. The one Charlie that's very endearing, that's fun to work with, that's a professional, that is somebody who just seems like a regular guy that you just like. But then he also mentioned kind of the monster, the party animal, the Kingston. But Lars, before the show, you said you really didn't like John. Thought he came off as an asshole. Why is that?
I just think he came off a little bit smug, a little hoity-toity. I just his whole demeanor, and I don't think he likes Charlie at all. That's despite what he was saying. His body language and tone, to me, his body language, tone, and maybe choice of words were a little more telling than what he was actually saying, if you know what I mean.
Now, Lars, if you were on the biggest show on network television and you're making millions of dollars and everything's coming in easy, and your co-star, the guy who's the big star on the show, just fucks it up, destroys the whole thing.
Of course, but I think John Cryer is in that documentary to play the villain.
I didn't see him as a villain. I saw him as somebody kind of really telling you, like, hey, when we first started doing 2.5 Men, it was great. You know, Charlie seemed like he was in a good place. He just got married. He had a child. Everything was going awesome. The show was fun. The show was funny. But, towards the middle and towards the end, it just became hell because Charlie would come in. He'd be completely out of it, just hugging people, telling them he loves them. And then Charlie would do crazy shit. And you never knew if Charlie was going to show up, if he was alive, if going to, be on time, what his performance was. Charlie Sheen was so fucked up. So, one of the craziest things to me in the documentary that Charlie Sheen was filming a scene in this movie, and he had to shove an ice cube up his ass just to do the scene because he was so fucked up on drugs.
Yeah, that was a movie shot in Montreal. I remember taking that from the documentary. Can't remember the name of it though, but I'd never heard of it.
And is it John Cryer? He seemed like he was just doing Charlie Sheen like because he's in recovery, he's like helping him out.
What do you mean?
Just that, like you said, he doesn't really like him that much, and he did mess up his life, but he's come to terms with it. But he's just like being a good person and saying, there are two sides of him, and just offering a peace branch or whatever.
Yeah, I thought, I kind of understand what you're saying, but at the same time, he was the person I thought that was most fair to Charlie Sheen, that he wasn't the one, like when you saw Denise Richards, or I think the lady's name is Brooke Mueller, they have an emotional attachment to Charlie Sheen being his ex-wife and the mother of his children, that when they speak, they're just speaking from their own emotions. John Cryer was probably the person that was most removed from Charlie Sheen, but actually that was actually actively involved in his life. You know what I mean? He saw the good side of Charlie Sheen. He saw the bad side of Charlie Sheen.
I'm sure Denise Richards and Brooke Mueller saw the bad side of Charlie Sheen as well.
Yeah, but they're not neutral. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, John Cryer didn't call John Cryer. He thought that John Cryer would say bad stuff to him and was surprised or happy about what John Cryer said. But when he called John Cryer didn't get back to him. So he was he didn't call him and say, "Hey, come on the documentary and say cool stuff about me." He kind of said, well, he's not going to say anything good about me. So he didn't call him, but he did say good stuff about him. But he also talked about the Mercedes, Charlie's Mercedes that crashed into the ravine like a couple of times, didn't it?
Something's fishy there. Like something is
Who's driving that car?
and to do it twice, like I don't know.
Well, you know, another person I thought came across really great in the documentary. It's probably the most likable I've ever seen this guy, Sean Penn.
Fuck do I hate Sean Penn. I can't stand Sean Penn. It was interesting to
usually
find
with
out
you
that
on
they were
that.
childhood friends. What's that?
I'm usually with you on that. Like every time Sean Penn usually speaks in like the last 30 years, he usually annoys the fuck out of me. But he came across as like really level-headed, like somebody who actually really cared about Charlie Sheen. And I really like from this documentary, I really liked him in this documentary, which I never thought I would say that.
Fair. That's fair. I I don't like him either, and he was tolerable in the documentary, but I don't like him. I think he's
Not surprising though, right?
why?
That you don't like him, I don't like him. You find him tolerable in the documentary, and I actually found him likable. Like that's surprising.
Yeah. I see that. Yeah.
He
Wait,
was the one making the little side quips. Like he was saying that, Charlie's like the only one that does the white powder and can actually perform sex. Normally just have wild fantasies about it. So I think the way he was telling it, he was kind of like, questioning what Charlie was saying really in a sort of funny way. He wasn't like, hitting him over the head with it. I think you can see that he was sort of saying that Charlie's a bit of a bullshitter.
that's a great insight, Wasted. I didn't
That is.
really see that.
Yeah.
I mentioned it. I
Didn't catch
totally
that.
see it.
Yeah.
No,
me
I
too.
didn't. Watching through it, I didn't catch it. But now that you say it, it seems like he was calling Charlie Sheen on a lot of his bullshit, but like in a very subtle way. That's really insightful, Wasted.
I like that. I like that a
Yeah,
lot.
so
And
Wasted,
see, when he,
I was going to ask you, out of the guests that you saw, the people that were, giving commentary about Charlie Sheen's life, who did you like the most? Who did you like the least?
I like the drug dealer, the one who
Yep.
basically, he was saying that, Charlie was saying that, on that interview that he was like banging 7-gram rocks, and the drug dealer who basically just got out of prison and was,
Mhm.
given like 20-30 grand deals with Charlie. He basically was trying to stay out of the lifestyle. He just became Charlie Sheen's like go-to man and made tons of money at, he's sitting in a palatial mansion or something, isn't he? But you're saying that he really did bang 7-gram rocks, that he wasn't lying. I like.
He said that Charlie Sheen was paying him $15,000 a weekend, sometimes 30, sometimes 45, but the average was 15,000 a weekend. Imagine that.
And he was straight out of prison. He was basically straight
Yeah.
back into.
Yeah.
And Charlie Sheen's like, he was the only one he had. He was saying that, when everybody else got kicked out, it was just like the drug dealer and that Tony, the sports guy who stayed with him to the end. He was also a good get, a weird like interview. Like he didn't drink or do drugs, but he just stayed next to Charlie as his kind of like fixer. Like when
Yeah, but
Charlie
he was
gets-
also the guy when Charlie was like completely spiraling out of control. He's like, well, I was still there, and Charlie would kick everyone else out of the house, but I'd still be in the bedroom next to him, and he was throwing his whole life away and burning his career down and trying to kill himself. But hey, you know what?
Yeah.
I was still his friend, and I didn't put him and try to confront. I didn't find him likable. The drug dealer that you mentioned, the guy literally is sitting down doing this interview, and he's a bigger fellow. Which hey, I'm a larger man myself, and I'm not here to fat shame anybody, but the fact that he had a shirt on, but it wasn't even covering his belly was very distracting to me. And like, he didn't seem like somebody that had Charlie's best interest in heart. Like he just was a drug dealer. It's like, hey, I can make a shit ton of money. Just go do drugs with Charlie Sheen's going to make me watch Apocalypse Now for the 100th time if I go over his house today. But I make an obscene amount of money. Now, I didn't find him likable, but Wasted, you said that was your like favorite guy. Who was your least favorite?
Well, I liked that drug dealer. I thought he was funny. Whereas when I watched like Denise Richards, I don't like her. So she's a nightmare. I mean, I don't even know why he would like get with her in the first place. She's
Well,
like not
did you
that
see
hot.
Wild Thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when she was like, very young, she's like got this massive goofy teeth, and I don't know, but not that, just the emotional. I didn't really like the interview she gave. Just seemed like no wonder he's on drugs. You know, she's a nightmare.
Dude, she was so vulgar too. I mean, she talks like a sailor.
Yeah, she was my favorite.
The sort of
Like no shit, she was my favorite. I thought she was the one that liked Charlie the most and had Charlie, to use your phrase, wasted, had Charlie's best interest at heart. And I thought she gave a great interview. I thought she was very candid. Yeah, I mean, uh, weird.
just not a good match. Whereas I think
I thought they were perfect. So weird. We're
yeah,
such on the opposite ends of the spectrum here. Just like,
like being
yeah,
realistic though, like he's not going to settle down into like some domestic bliss, at that time in his life. So she's just deluded. Brooke Mueller seems like she went through the same kind of thing and came out on the other side and sort of like kind of forgave him when she probably shouldn't.
right. Well,
You
who
know,
knows
the
what
thing about
happened in that house?
The Denise Richards story where she met Charlie Sheen, it was beyond romantic. Their first date's awesome. Where Charlie's like, "Hey, I don't want to cancel a date with you. Bonds is going to break the home run record tonight, so I really want to watch that." And the fact that she's like, "Okay," came over, they had takeout, they watched it, had a good time. But then she's like, and then I grabbed Charlie by his head and just kissed him. She just came off to me as really kind of slutty and really vulgar. And it's something I didn't expect out of Denise Richards. Now, granted, I can't speak to the trauma that she had being married to Charlie Sheen. That's got to be a fucking nightmare. And the fact that she has children with Charlie Sheen, she's been through so much shit, just his antics. I understand why liars would like her. She just came off unlikable in this documentary. But then again, we don't see the raw footage. We don't know, what was actually recorded and what they decided to air. That's the thing about documentaries, especially when, I'm pretty sure Charlie Sheen probably had director's cut on this. The narratives in this movie or this documentary really seem to favor Charlie Sheen. The one thing that I'm surprised we blew right past was the freaking Charlie Sheen. I like to, order on the other side of them. So, okay, Charlie Sheen, notoriously, Hollywood playboy, dated all these beautiful women, liars and wasted. Give me a list of the women that Charlie Sheen has had relationships with, just off the top of your head.
Well, Denise Richards, obviously, and Brooke Mueller, and who? Everybody.
The Olsen twins, was it? I always get the name wrong.
Not the Olsen twins, Brie Olsen, the porn star. Jesus,
Brie Olsen, yeah. That's
yeah.
her name. Brie.
This is not the Olsen twins, which, by the way, if we lived in a reality world where the Olsen twins are like in their 30s and Charlie Sheen's banging them both at the same time, I'm pretty sure meteor's gonna fucking hit us. But look back in the 80s and in the 90s, dating supermodels. I mean, Winona Ryder supposedly had a relationship with Charlie Sheen. Am I right?
So I heard.
Okay.
Wasted, I think.
Wasted. Come on, this is supposed to be your wheelhouse, buddy. Wake up.
Oh, you mean you said Winona Ryder? I've never heard that. In the documentary, it talked about Donna Peel. I mean, that was his first wife, wasn't it? And Kelly Preston. These are the names that I remember.
Well, he shot Kelly Preston. That was surprised me. I never knew he shot Kelly Preston. He shot John Travolta's wife. And then they got fucking like hard copy going up to her door at her apartment, like, "Hey, so Charlie Sheen shot you." She's like, "It's just an accident." It's like, okay, that's trying to say he's bad. No, I'm pretty good. He dated Winona Ryder. But throughout Charlie Sheen's life, you start hearing these stories where, like, okay, so he's banging all these supermodels. There's beautiful actresses that will date him. But because he has such a drug addiction, he starts going to Heidi Fleiss, which that was a part of the story that, she seems like she has a lot of problems. I know she was married to Tom Sizemore for a bit, and they had a lot of drug issues. So, like, the way she speaks now, after she's been through and she's in jail, she's probably a different person mentally than she was back then. But the fact that she hates Charlie Sheen because he's the reason she went to jail or prison.
He's the reason he ratted her out. Yeah.
Well, he used a traveler's check instead of cash, and then that popped up on the list. But she just looks like she should go on like that show, like Are You Garbage? I mean, she's doing an interview surrounded by parrots and birds. That's like a clear sign of trash, The white trash.
Hey, that lady in Home Alone 2 was a sweetheart.
It's a clear sign of trash.
Having a pet bird, having your own like parrot sanctuary, and you do an interview in. That's like full on garbage.
And just the background
so wasted
where she was. Yeah.
When you watch Beretta back in these with Robert Blake, you're like, he's a real piece of trash.
See, anybody with a bird. Not saying it's a bad thing. But you couldn't afford like a dog or a cat. You had to get a bird.
But what do you guys think about that? The fact that Charlie Sheen's like, listen, they got me on conspiracy because I had, I paid for my buddies to bang some whores and they're threatening me with serious time. So, I just totally screwed her over. I mean, to me, that's more of who Charlie Sheen really is. Like, if he can screw you over to save himself, he will.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think didn't they say that they busted her for tax? Tax evasion is what she got busted for.
Yes.
So in the end, it wasn't really whatever he did wasn't really why she went to jail. But just kind of
he's the reason because
He's the reason.
Wasted. He's the reason because they wouldn't have known if everyone was paying in cash.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have had a paper trail. It's because he did a travel. Oh, wait a second. She's a madam to all these Hollywood stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very telling.
She made it sound just normal.
Wasted. Did you hear the part where she's like, if you think this person was banging hookers and was a client of mine, they probably were. I'm like, damn.
Yeah. Yeah, it was that was a good part of the documentary, that whole Heidi thing.
She was married to Tom Sizemore.
Yeah, that's what Brasky was saying.
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah.
No, Wasted, what did you think of his brother? His older brother, I thought came off real nice. I thought that guy really showed that like he cared for his brother and he seemed very normal.
Is it Ramon?
Ramon.
Yeah. Yeah, he seemed like the most normal. Like he was the one who gave the Charlie the leather jacket for Ferris Bueller. Like he was going through a punk rock stage, it says in the documentary. So yeah, he did seem like he wasn't one of those like Hollywood. What did he end up? What job did he end up doing? He wasn't like one of these like backpack kids, was he? He wasn't in movies.
No,
I have no idea. They didn't mention it.
they didn't mention what he did.
Yeah, but he didn't come across as like a sort of actory kid in Hollywood. He just came across as kind of normal. Maybe didn't even know what was going on that much.
Another person that I don't know if I disliked or liked was Chuck Lorre, the guy who created 2.5 Men, created all these other TV shows, because the way he presented himself, and maybe this is just because he works in the entertainment industry, he came off really level-headed. Like he gave Charlie Sheen a bunch of chances and just tried to work with him. And boy, did Charlie Sheen really turn against him bad. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Chuck Lorre was interesting, definitely. He was different than what I expected an exec to be, if that makes any sense. Doesn't mean he was any more likable or anything. It's just that he wasn't what I was expecting.
I mean, Charlie did say that, he did sort of apologize, didn't he? He basically said that what did Chuck Lorre really do for me? He basically just gave me the role of a lifetime, and 50,000 an hour? That's what the rate of pay he was on. So he has admitted that he he treated like Chuck Lorre really badly, considering all he did was try to help him.
He was getting $2 million per
$2 million?
episode of 2.5 Men.
It was like $50,000 an hour.
Oh,
Okay.
50.
So
Okay.
yeah, $50,000
I
an
don't want to
hour.
confuse the audience who's listening along.
Yeah.
So episode of 2.5 Men, he made $2 million. Okay, and they do over 20 episodes a season, and it wasn't a very hard thing. Charlie comes in. Charlie Sheen's incredibly talented. We all know this. He has great comedic timing, but the show was just a monster hit. It was the number one show in America very long time. I mean, it was just a monster of a show. That's why, like earlier, we were talking about John Cryer. I get why he'd be pissed. Like, dude, you totally fucked up, and now I got fucking Ashton Kutcher to do this show. So, are we missing anyone that was really a guest? We kind of talked about his buddy, something Todd. It was the black guy that was his best friend since childhood that lived with him. I kind of thought he came across as a nice guy, but you see him in the later parts of Charlie's life when Charlie's life is just a complete fucking disaster, and like we keep moving on from this topic, but the fact that, you know, Charlie Sheen was later smoking crack and now he's like, I'm okay banging men. It's like, damn, dude, really? Like, it's fine if you're gay. Like, I don't care if you're gay. Congratulations. Like, whoop-de fucking do. But it just seems weird that just came out now. And then the fact that he got HIV and none of the women got it. You know, he swears that all the people he slept with never got HIV, that the only person that ever has AIDS is just him, which
Yes,
maybe he
did
got
say
it from a needle, but now he says he doesn't even, like, if he takes the test, it doesn't even show up. It's that little of an amount, which is possible. I mean, Magic Johnson's had AIDS for fucking 30 years. But it's just odd. Everything about the whole thing was odd. The ex-wives, when it's a marriage and there's children involved. And I think Denise Richards, I don't find her likable, but I find her more sane than Brooke Mueller. I think that chick looks like she could fucking stab somebody. She looked like, you know, shit could go down the wrong way. And I know they said she's struggling now, and Charlie Sheen added the children. Like, the kids actually live with Charlie Sheen now instead of her, which that's got to say some shit's going on.
He was pretty honest, though, in the documentary, saying that, you know, when Charlie had that kind of meltdown, was it in Aspen, when they both like locked themselves in this house they were renting? I think it was at some ski resort somewhere. That it wasn't just Charlie, even though he did get like violent. She was saying that she couldn't say what she was doing because she was so out of it herself. So
True.
he didn't like throw him under the bus. He was honest about, you know, she was also in it. So I sort of thought that she was the most believable, you know, massive meltdown that he had there, you know, and he could have gone to jail. So, but he did seem like the sort of person that you meet in rehab.
Like, I don't disagree with you wasted at all. Elliot, it's kind of hard because, you know, you're talking about, you know, he had 2 marriages, to her and to Denise Richards, and they have children. And, you know, there's a lot of drug use involved, especially with their marriage, the Brooke Mueller marriage and Charlie Sheen. So it's kind of hard to judge her. I'm not here to shame her or anything like that. That's not my place. It's not my right. But overall, the whole Charlie Sheen documentary seemed like the guests, except John Cryer, would probably say Chuck Lorre, were kind of pushing the narrative of Charlie Sheen. Like, hey, Charlie's a great guy, except when he's on drugs.
Yeah, it's the Hollywood redemption story. Everybody loves a survivor story.
Yeah. So we all watched the documentary. The first part of the documentary, because it's, you know, it's a 3-hour documentary. I think it's easy enough to kind of break it up into, you know, they split it up into 2 episodes. So let's look at it from the first part of it. Wasted, what did you take away from episode 1? What was that like main thing that you saw in episode 1? You're like, oh, that's really interesting, or I really like it.
I think it's the sort of more, it was basically the interesting thing was, didn't really know that he was on the set of Apocalypse Now when he was so young, like when he was 10. You know? And I didn't really know about the Ferris Bueller stuff too much. So I think it was that sort of the Malibu growing up with all these like Sean Penn and people like that. But
Yeah, I
it's
didn't
the
know about
Apocalypse
Sean
Now
Penn stuff either. That's crazy that Rob Lowe and Sean Penn were childhood friends of his. It's like,
Yeah,
God damn, pretty much every star of the 80s grew up in the same neighborhood at the same school.
crazy, man, crazy.
Liars, what
Beverly
about
Hills
you?
High.
What about
Santa Monica High, sir.
No,
Yeah,
and
that's,
Beverly Hills is another one where everybody's seen. I can't remember which. Splash and Lenny Kravitz went to the same school.
oh, did they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They've
Weird.
been like really good friends for ever. But Liars, what'd you take
Yes.
away from episode 1 of the 2-part episode of the Charlie Sheen documentary?
I think just from a guy that doesn't really know much about Charlie Sheen, I think episode 1 was informative, and it was entertaining and informative. I think I learned a lot about his backstory with Emilio Estevez and his dad, and that he had an older brother. I found it all interesting. Yeah, it was interesting.
What I took out of episode 1 is he's a lucky son of a bitch. I mean,
Oh,
he
yeah.
landed roles that just are career defining. Platoon, one of the greatest movies ever made. Got to work with Stone on that, made such an impression on Oliver Stone. He goes, "Hey, listen, I'm making Wall Street, sign up and do it." Wall Street, one of another defining movies of the 80s. After that, he had the freedom and the ability to go pursue movies he wanted to do. So he got to do Major League, and Charlie Sheen was an incredible athlete. That's something I didn't know. The thing where they did like a television show where it was like, "Hey, celebrities versus athletes," and there's fucking Michael Jordan, and it's Martin Sheen and Charlie Sheen playing my basketball. First thing is, free throws, and Michael Jordan's got to be, he's got to have his eyes closed to make free throws. So Charlie Sheen just keeps freaking, drilling the ball into the net. He's just nothing but net, making beautiful shots. Then they do horse, which of course Michael Jordan wins this game, and then they do a 2-on-1, and Charlie Sheen and Martin Sheen beat Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time. That's insane to me. But that was really interesting that I thought was great, which I didn't see coming. And this guy I love, as much as Wasted loves Charlie Sheen, which don't worry, folks, Wasted's going to get a lot more Charlie Sheen information and a lot more Charlie Sheen talk going here. We're just trying to summarize everything and keep it moving. Nick Cage. Fucking love Nick Cage.
Legend.
Wasted, I want you to take control of this right now and tell us the Nick Cage airplane story.
From the documentary. I just don't think I remember it.
All right, Liars, do you remember it? If not, I'll take it home.
Well, I mean, I don't know the verbatim and what Nicolas Cage said, but they were on an airplane and they were high and drunk, whatever. And I guess Nicolas Cage got a hold of the PA system on the airplane and basically said that the pilot is losing control.
Yeah.
Nicolas
No, I
Cage
remember that.
he got on the internet, announced himself as the captain of the plane, and said, we're losing control of the airplane, and all these people start freaking out, and Charlie Sheen's got freaking cocaine taped to his leg.
Also, that's right.
Yeah. So the pilot's pissed off, the flight crew's pissed off, they land the plane, the cops are waiting outside. They open the door, the cops come rushing in, they see Charlie Sheen, they see Nicolas Cage, and Charlie Sheen's freaking the fuck out. And Nicolas Cage is just because he's out partying. He's just a party animal himself. And the cops look at him and go, "Oh, I know you. You're Charlie Sheen and Nicolas Cage. You boys better not do this again." And they let him go.
It's
One of the people in the group sort of kind of smooth talked them through it.
Yeah, and then another thing is when they finally go, "Hey, listen, Charlie, it's your dad's birthday. Come over at 9:00 this morning over to Martin Sheen's house." So he gets there. His mom meets him. He goes, "Hey, sweetie, are you armed?" Charlie Sheen's like, "No, I'm not armed." "Oh, okay, come on inside." So Charlie Sheen goes walking inside. He looks at Sean Penn, Rob Lowe, a bunch of his friends, his family. and there's some guy he doesn't recognize. They're all just sitting around in the chairs, and he's like, "What's going on here?" Now, clearly, it's an intervention, and they're doing an intervention on Charlie Sheen, and the whole time he's like, "I want to get the fuck out of here. I want to get the fuck out of here." And then Martin Sheen goes, "Here, somebody on the phone that wants to talk to you." Charlie Sheen goes over to the phone, picks up the phone. It's fucking Clint Eastwood.
That's right.
Like, what do you remember the Slayers? Walk us through. If not, I'll
No,
continue.
you're going great. You're going great.
Okay.
I
So-
do remember.
So Clint's on the phone. He's like, hey, buddy. They made the 1990 film The Rookie. I think it was 1990. Could have been 89. Pretty sure it was 1990. Rookie with Clint Eastwood and Charlie Sheen. And Clint Eastwood told him, hey, got a real bright future, but you're fucking it up right. You need to go get yourself fixed. So Charlie Sheen's taken aback because it's Clint Eastwood talking to you, which I think anybody in the world, except Jesus Christ or God, if Clint Eastwood's talking to you, you're like, oh, well, this is the authority. So Charlie Sheen agrees, gets in the car. He's in a convertible. His dad's driving. There's another person in the front seat. And Charlie Sheen's sandwiched in the back because they know that at the first red light, Charlie's going to just jump out. He's just going to run away. So they bring him to this rehab. And Charlie Sheen's checking in. But Nicolas Cage and a bunch of his other pals, like the crew they had, they're going to go judge a bikini contest for Hawaiian Tropic, I believe. And he tells the lady, the nurse at the front desk, listen, I'll be back tomorrow at 8:00 in the morning. And she's like, he goes, I'll give you $1 million. He starts writing on a piece of paper, I'm Charlie Sheen. I will give you $1 million at 8:00 in the morning. So he goes up to the desert, goes parties with all these beautiful models and all these bikini girls. But you know what? The next day at 7:40 a.m., he's back. He walks into the rehab facility. A nurse sees him. She's like, shit, I thought I was going to get $1 million. But, at the same time, she's like, we held the bed for you. He gets clean and sober. Now, Wasey, can you describe what they call California sober?
He's still like maybe smoking weed, maybe doing some cocaine and drinking beer. But I don't know how.
I think
he's not doing crack.
From what California sober is like, hey, I smoke weed and I drink wine. Is that kind of correct to what you hear, liars?
I believe that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like California sober. Now, if you notice in the 90s, like instead of Hot Shots, his like career really took a shit dive. Like they did a second major league. They did Hot Shots 1 and 2. And then like from the early 90s until like 2000, Charlie Sheen's career is just utter shit. Then they're talking about him doing a movie, Money Talks with Chris Tucker, which wasn't a big movie at the time. I don't really remember it much. Do either one of you remember it?
No, I was surprised
No.
when I saw Chris Tucker. So I don't remember it at all.
Wasted doesn't remember it. That's when you know the movie did not make an impact. I've seen it. I don't remember much of it. That's pretty much, once again, how much impact this movie had. So Charlie Sheen's career was going nowhere. He's still doing drugs. He's still drinking. Time where there's this girl that was a real sweetheart that he knew for years, and he was friends with her. She called him in the middle of the night, said, "Hey, I need help. I need to get out of the situation I'm in." So Charlie Sheen goes up to this guy. This guy throws this chick against the wall. Charlie Sheen goes up to his car, grabs a fucking gun, walks back in with the gun in his waist belt. Oh, she's coming with me. Then Charlie Sheen brings her home. She sleeps. The next morning, she wakes up. He's bringing her some juice. And she goes, "Hey, I gotta get my fix." And she pulls out a fucking crack pipe. Now, this is the first Sheen's ever done crack. So she goes, "Hey, you should do this." And Charlie Sheen's like, I don't know. She goes, "Come on, do it." So Charlie Sheen agrees, and she wanted to make it extra special. So the first time, now this is according to Charlie Sheen, he could be, exaggerating, which wouldn't shock me. But the first time he ever smokes crack, he's getting a blowjob from this girl.
She convinced him to do it. He didn't really want to do it, but she said she'd blow him if he did it. She seemed to coerce him into doing it. So he said it was the best thing that has ever. It's never been better than that. So I think he said that.
Chasing the dragon, right? It's the
Yeah.
the definition of chasing the dragon. It's you're never gonna get as high as that first time, man. And it's gonna be that much better if it's your first time and you're getting a BJ.
So
Yeah.
that is his first venture into crack cocaine. The next big event that really happens is he makes a movie called Good Advice, which actually I've seen this movie and I like this movie. This is actually a good movie with him and Denise Richards. where Denise Richards plays the bimbo girlfriend who's kind of a bitch, and she breaks up with Charlie Sheen, but she's a advice columnist, and Charlie Sheen loses his job and he takes over as the advice columnist afterwards, and it becomes really popular. He finds a girl he falls in love with. It's a good movie, but he meets her there. They start their relationship. We've already kind of talked about their first date. Words. Now this is horrible. Michael J. Fox is on a big show on ABC called Spin City, and Spin City, very, very popular. Obviously, Michael J. Fox is a superstar. Michael J. Fox gets Parkinson's. Parkinson's fucking sucks. I can't really tell you folks how much I hate Parkinson's. It's a horrible fucking disease. I pray for it one day to be cured because it's horrible. And if you have anybody that you love that has it, oh my God. It is one of the worst things that could happen. And but anyways, back on point. Michael J. Fox can no longer perform on the show. And God bless Michael J. Fox. I know I'm going off topic here, but God bless that man. He's done so much for Parkinson's disease, Parkinson's research. Just a fucking great human being. He's done a lot of stuff for fire departments. Michael J. Fox is that guy. Like the guy that you want him to be, he is that guy. And he'll definitely make it up to heaven. But Charlie Sheen, once again, lucks out getting into Platoon, which led to Wall Street. He lucks out and he gets on Spin City. And he wins his first award. He wins a Golden Globe for, taking over as the main star in Spin City, which is funny because they had a checkered past. Heather Locklear was on that show. A Ferris Bueller reference on there. The guy who played Cameron was actually on Spin City. Did you guys know?
Really know?
Yeah,
Yep,
I
he's
did
the
not
guy
know
with the
that.
glasses and the spiked hair.
Cool.
So Spins the ratings after a while, they get lower because he's not Michael J. Fox. They cancel the show. So Charlie's in a relationship. They get married, him and Denise Richards. Life's going pretty well. Once again, Charlie's still doing drugs. He's still fucking up. He's still doing the Charlie Sheen stuff. He gets 2.5 Men. Chuck Lorre is pitching a show to CBS. And he's like, hey, listen, I got this great idea for a show. This guy's a Charlie Sheen-like type character. And CBS goes, can you get Charlie Sheen? He's like, let me see. He gets Charlie Sheen. 2.5 Men, which we've already talked about. Giant success, like #1 in the ratings. Everything's going well for Charlie, and everything just shits the bed. Wasted. This is the part where you're going to shine. We're entering the era of winning. Wasted. Tell us what happened when Charlie Sheen lost his fucking mind.
I think he basically like had a break with reality, but he explained it that when he did that interview, and he basically said that that's when he said like I'm on Tiger Bud and I'm an Adonis, and I'm winning. That he was saying that he basically got angry with the interviewer, and that's why he was saying all that stuff. And that stuff that he was talking about, he didn't get from. It wasn't really his. He'd got this phone call from some kind of, is it a baseball player or a basketball player who was like also kind of a party guy? And this guy called him up and said, nobody knows what we're like, we've got tiger blood in our veins, and we're just winning. They don't like that, so we're the same. And Charlie kind of took that, and it was like running around his brain. So it came out in the interview because the interviewer, Charlie came and turned up with like 2 girls, one was a porn star, one wasn't, and the interviewer made a crack about the one of the girls, and he didn't like it, and he got angry, and then he went. So every question he answered, he was kind of angry and pissed. So that's when he was saying, "I'm banging 7-gram rocks, because I'm the greatest, I'm winning." So that's I didn't know that about where that story came from. That he got it from this guy who called him up out of the blue or something to sort of identify with him as a fellow party guy. I thought he just made it up himself.
Yeah, one of the things that I didn't know was that he was like taking a shit ton of testosterone at the time, and that's why all the aggression was coming in. And like,
Yeah.
he was going nuts. He was like on Alex Jones, going into rambling about Chuck Lorre and how he's the greatest ever, and like the partying. the fact that he had his car supposedly stolen twice and left in a fucking ravine or a river. Liars, what was it? Was it a ravine? Where the hell the Mercedes?
It was right off like right off Mulholland Drive, wasn't it? It's kind of like a cliff into the ravine, yeah. Wasn't
I
it?
mean, yeah, but Liars, do you remember the time that all the shit was going on with Charlie Sheen, where like he was on the news every night, like watch TMZ or like you're just flipping through and it's like Inside Edition. What's Charlie Sheen doing now? And he's just screaming winning, and it was a pop culture phenomenon. I mean, wasted out of anybody should waste it. Come on,
It was amazing.
speak to this.
Well, it was sort of like the first time that a sort of meltdown had been like streamed on the internet. Normally it's stuff that happens behind the scenes, but he was just putting it out on the internet live, like streaming, and everybody was encouraging him to do it. So I think he went from the sort of trajectory of you can be famous, but then the next level of fame is kind of like infamy. So he went from being like famous to being infamous. It has a negative connotation, but it's like something that happens in Hollywood. Like with Michael Jackson, Johnny Depp, Jim Morrison, Dennis Hopper, all these type of guys. They're sort of famous a bit, but then they go into this sort of darker territory, like the next level of fame, like the Rolling Stones. They weren't just famous; they're kind of like dangerous. So it was kind of crazy to watch everybody encourage him to go on this sort of like suicide mission, and then to cheer him on. But you couldn't tell at the time whether he was like, was it a role that I think he said in the documentary, it was like a role that he was playing. He felt like he was playing a role.
Yeah, because
He
he was
just
so
looked
fucking whacked out on testosterone. He was so aggro.
Do you guys think he looked like just physically ill? Because on 2.5 Men, if you watch like the year or two before all this happened, he looked fine. He looked like normal Charlie Sheen. But like during this era, man, he looked just sick.
Dude,
Like,
he was
I got
full on
aged
drug.
by
He
this
was a
point.
full on junkie.
Yeah,
Like
his teeth were falling out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had like metal teeth, like silver teeth, that made him look more like a sort of a witch or something. Like you said, a warlock. To me,
A
he looked like
warlock,
he was
that's right.
turning into a witch or something with weird bad teeth.
That's right.
And that's crack, isn't it?
He was a full on junkie, man. Like he was. I even said that to my wife when we were watching it today. But when they showed, there was a couple scenes of like reading of the script for 2.5 Men where he's just in there, and they're like 5-second clips, and he's just strung out, man. Like he's gross, man. He's just a junkie. That's
But
fucking full of testosterone.
But did he know what he's doing? As in, he'd got bored of the show, and it was just like the classic thing for him to do is that when he gets bored of it or it's not working out, he gets bored and then spirals into this sort of like they said, they burn it all down.
Yeah,
He has that, and it always worked out for him. Kind of like because that was the era. Nowadays, that wouldn't work so well, but back then, like the appetite for destruction style lifestyle, everybody was doing it. It was the cool thing to do.
Sure.
You could get away with it. What's that guy? Downey Jr. He was the same.
Same example is privileged Hollywood bad boys. I don't know.
Speaking of appetite for destruction, we actually missed one of Charlie Sheen's rehabs back in this had to be 97 or 98 because his request was to watch Game 6 of the NBA Finals where Jordan made that game-winning shot against the Utah Jazz. And the reason I bring it up because appetite for destruction was wasted. He was hanging out with Slash, and Slash was like, "Dude, you got to go to rehab."
Yeah, he'd never seen anybody in as bad shape as Charlie Sheen. I mean, I always had it. I mean, I don't have the best memory, but I also remember that they were living next door to each other, and Charlie used to go over, and Slash had all these like stripper holes set up in his house, and Perla was there. I don't know if that is true because it could have just been an internet rumor or something.
Liar,
They used to party together.
You're a Slash guy. You're probably the biggest Slash fan I know. Did Slash live in Malibu at that time? or where Charlie Sheen was living?
I seem to remember something in Slash's book about what Wasted was saying. I
Yeah,
can't
that's
confirm
maybe
it.
it. Yeah.
I can't confirm it. Um,
It sounds
I do
logical.
remember something about Charlie Sheen and Slash in Slash's book. So
They were next door neighbors.
maybe.
I think now, guys, audience, you have a comment section below. Remember to like and subscribe. I think I read somewhere, it might have been on Wikipedia, that Charlie Sheen was actually in a relationship at one time with Stephanie Seymour too, which is hilarious. Because
That's awesome.
look at it this way. Dude, check this out. If Charlie Sheen and Slash are best buddies and Axel knows that Charlie Sheen used to fuck Stephanie Seymour, oof. Did Charlie Sheen break up Guns N' Roses? It's a possibility, guys. So we get to the point now where he's on this, he's doing a book tour. They fired him from 2.5 Men. He's on TV. He's doing interviews out of his fucking mind. And he's doing like not a book tour. He's doing a speaking. They show like the audience just say it sucks. It's horrible. Like no one likes it. And he's just surrounded by hanger-ons that are just trying to milk it for as much money as they can. And he's just spiraling out of control. But the one thing I noticed, Wasted and Liars, I don't know if you guys picked up on this. Did you guys notice there was no mention of the TV show Anger Management?
Nothing. I did notice that. I was very surprised.
I noticed that.
It was his big comeback. Remember, Anger Management was his big comeback, and it was half decent. For
But it was it was sleazier. It
Yeah.
was almost like a Chuck Lorre kind of show, but it was about sex addiction or something, or anger management. Was it? It seemed to have a lot of sex, more sex with, and the stars. There were a few stars that were still standing by him. Forgotten her name.
Selma Blair was his co-star.
Selma Blair, yeah.
Selma Blair, yeah.
But the fact that they just kind of like wiped that from existence is like, wow. They're trying to hide some things or just not discuss some things. I was surprised other things they discussed. Like they brought up, and Wasted, you can speak to this more than I can because I really don't know much about it, but I guess there's some rumor that Corey Feldman said about Charlie Sheen raping or banging Corey Haim back in the day, which I don't really fucking know about. Do you know about that, Wasted?
Yeah, that was an internet rumor during COVID. That Charlie kind of said that this is what men do, and then he, beat him behind the trailer on the set of Lucas. I think it was the set of Lucas. But even his mum, Corey Haim, said that he'd never heard that from him. So I don't know what that was all about.
Well, yeah, it didn't even come from him. It came from Corey Feldman, which, but the way Charlie Sheen responded to that, I felt, I don't know why. Did anyone else get that kind of vibe? Like, where he's talking about
it's believable.
I'm not saying it wasn't believable.
Somebody says that to you for real, you get angry. You don't start spinning some weird conspiracy story about how it couldn't. You just go, no, fuck off. That didn't happen.
No,
that's the impression I got too. Is that
that's just the impression I got? I didn't.
That's the impression I got, was that he was like, this is a bullshit rumor. Shut it down. Like, I'm not talking about this because it's fucking stupid. That's the opinion I got.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
I know that he didn't sue him because he said that he didn't want to give him any more attention or fame, but that's a really horrible thing to accuse somebody of, especially if they're innocent. Like, if they're guilty, fuck them. But if they're innocent and accusing them of that, that's really fucked up. But then there's some.
But then the other side of the menu comment,
Yeah. Like, when did this other side of the menu comment start happening? And the fact that like he was like so excited to say it, and then like it wasn't just like, hey, I did crack, so I accidentally fucked a guy, thought it was a girl. But like the fact that he's like, still like, I'm not gonna ever not, I want the whole menu. Like it seems like, is Charlie Sheen now bisexual? Is that what he's saying? Like I don't really give a fuck, but it kind of sound that way.
How much crack do you have to take? But I mean, that was another rumor was that that's how he got AIDS. Is that it was from like sucking a black transvestite's cock at a party in front of everybody without a condom when he was
I
high.
never heard that.
Yeah, that was one of during COVID. Those type of like you don't know if it's complete bullshit or if that was the truth.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Allegedly,
It's one of those things with Charlie Sheen. Like they seem like they left a lot out. I thought it was nice at the end to show that he's trying to be a good parent, that he quit drinking so he could be there for his daughter, that his son lives with him. You know, the notes that he writes his son are a little bit aggressive. I'll tell you that right now. Like, yeah, don't be a cunter. Like, did you see those little post-it notes, guys?
Yeah, I thought they were funny. I thought they were.
Do you leave little
I-
post-it notes for your kids? Like, don't be a fucking
My kids aren't
asshole.
my kids aren't 19 years old, right? But when
I get
they're
it.
19 years old, have a good relationship like that where you can joke around with your son like that. I would welcome that for sure.
All right. I mean, I don't know. I thought they were a little odd, but it's all right. You know, it's not anything that was like, oh my God. I just felt it was weird. The documentary itself was way too fucking long. Like it easily could have been condensed, and it seems like they really didn't touch apart. Like it seems like there's a dark time, like wasted. Do you know what I mean? Like it seems like, oh, he was on 2.5 Men, and then he became a drug addict. You know, became a drug addict, but like he spiraled out of control, and then you know, he got clean and sober. Like they didn't really mention like the years between. Like it's 2025. Like
they didn't mention that he OD'd on coke.
did he?
That was, yeah. There's lots of. That's what I was saying
What?
about it. They did leave not the crack era. I think not. It's sort of more 2.5 Men, like earlier, something like that.
Really?
So, yeah, they left out these. Yeah, they left out where he sort of like well, every time he went to rehab, it's because something like that happened. You know, some huge meltdown, like with the Brooke Mueller, where he pulled a knife on her in Aspen. You know, they kind of glossed over that a little bit, and they didn't. They left out like his ODs and things like that. So but it's kind of like a redemption story, isn't it? That you know, the survivor story. They're trying to spin it in a positive light for him, so that he can stay on the stay sober. They don't want to put too much dirt out. But there
Did you
must have
see
been
the
a
ending of
dark time end of the documentary.
No, what I was meaning, the ending of the documentary where he was trying to say like he doesn't have much time left.
I didn't pick.
Because he
that
doesn't
up. I
have
don't
time
remember
left.
that.
Liars.
I don't remember that.
Okay, so if you guys watch the documentary, towards the end of it, he says that he doesn't think he has much time left on the, you know, the planet. You know, he's 60 years old now, and you know the amount of drug use and everything he has. He says in the documentary he doesn't think he has much time left. So I don't know if this is kind of like, you know, his last thing or like a comeback.
I think that it's like his final resting place. He wants to like present a kind of like I said, it's the arc of the Hollywood fame, isn't it? And then
Right.
you know, the rise, the fall, and then the redemption, survivor story at the end. Package it all up so that he feels comfortable and he didn't ruin his entire life or anybody else. Like he says, doesn't he have some line like nobody died? You know, people got hurt, but nobody really died. You know, but he could
Winston,
have
you're
died.
the biggest Charlie Sheen fan I know. Like, you know, Liar's the biggest Slash fan I know. You're the biggest Charlie Sheen fan. What is your general takeaway from the documentary? Like after watching it, you're like, wow, this really delivered. I'm glad I watched it. Or you're like, man, I have a lot more questions after watching this. Like, did you feel it was completed in a way, or do you feel like, man, there's a left out. There's a lot more stories I would have liked to hear. I would have liked to have more people actually interviewed. Like, what do you think? Do you think this is a public relations thing where he's trying to, you know, re-enter Hollywood and become, you know, a star again, going to movies, going to TV? What is your general thought?
I think it's
Crossing
more
from
about
levels.
his I think it's more about his peace of mind, and to do like a documentary that kind of helps him in his present life. He's presenting it to the people around him to say, look, I'm all right now, and this is where I am, and I'm trying my best. So it's more about that. It's not about like the Hollywood expose of all the good. I'm sure there's some much more like uh, horrible things that happened and scary things that happened, you know. But and they sort of glossed over that with that drug dealer. He's like the only really seedy character that's really interviewed, and it's kind of playing as funny. It's for the mainstream, isn't it? You know, it's a documentary for the mainstream, for people just to have fun with Charlie Sheen, the idea of Charlie Sheen. It's not really to delve into the really dark uh, parts of his life, because that's really not his personality. It seems, you know, you could do like the narcissism of Charlie Sheen, and how he's the controlling, and all the threats that he made. What really happened. You know, I think that would be like that's a different documentary than what this is meant to be. This isn't meant to be like on Netflix. This is Netflix. You know, it's a bit of a sort of it's to serve it. It's to help him, and, and to be fun for the audience, not to shock them too much. But Heidi Fleiss, even that part was funny. It was a bit fun. It was a bit wacky. So stay on the wacky side rather than the really dark. But I think if you start psychoanalyzing Charlie Sheen, that's where you go to like this sort of Apocalypse Now kind of state of his life. What effect that had on him. That's maybe a darker way of approaching a documentary.
Lars, what did you
All right.
take away after watching this documentary?
I definitely didn't like part 2 as much as part 1. It was just debauchery. That's all it was, and him getting away with everything and just living a privileged life. So I didn't like it as much as part 2, but overall, I think, like I said, I had mixed feelings about it, mixed emotions about it, mixed reviews about it. So it was all right.
Well, gentlemen, before we end this program, friend Magatron, aka Randy Leahy, over at Bad Apples Forum, he had some questions. I'm going to ask, and we'll get some answers from you boys. So, gentlemen, which of Charlie's big 2 sports highlights covered in the doc did you find to be the most impressive?
I like the one that he gets out of rehab and then goes to some baseball uh, match or something. And he hits a home run on the first pitch. That's like classic kind of major league Charlie Sheen.
Fair enough. The Denise Richards story was probably the best for me.
That's not a sports highlight. Even if you're gonna count motorboating as a professional sport, I understand. But we're talking about sports highlights, amigo.
So then his game with his dad against Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I got to go with that one. Michael Jordan's the greatest of all time. You beat him in anything involving basketball. That's got to be the one. Next question. Netflix is planning to bring back 2.5 Men.
No.
I can see it being on there, like Seinfeld's on there, and Friends is on there. Yeah, I think it's an option. They get it at a discount price, maybe.
Hey, money talks right now. If John Cryer is not doing anything, and Charlie Sheen wants to do it, and Chuck Lorre's going, gives it the go, I could see it happen. Chuck Lorre's like, yeah, half men, and John Cryer signs up. Charlie Sheen does it. People will watch it. People will pay to see that. So I could see it. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I could definitely see it happening. All right, guys. The next one. Do you think there's a greater high available than the one Charlie found, or did he hit Nirvana?
I think
With the crack and the BJ, I think he hit Nirvana.
I don't think it gets better than that.
I mean, the only thing you could do is add like Lexington Steel into the mix. It's always a higher high.
That's the other side of the menu there, folks.
Well, I don't know. Charlie Sheen's probably done more drugs that we know of that's alive. So I don't know if he can find a higher high than he's already published. But all right, the final one from Megatron. Who did you think was the crazier of Charlie's ex-wives featured in the doc?
Definitely Brooke Mueller.
I think Denise Richards is like was crazy to start with. I think Mueller just became crazy after she took loads of drugs with Charlie Sheen.
I think she was doing them before Charlie Sheen. Isn't that what she said in the doc? I don't remember.
Yeah, but she really lost it when they're like, doing it together. Like Charlie was saying that she was wasting crack. And he'd show her how to do it properly.
Right.
That was one of his relapses.
Yeah.
I guess Denise Richards is just normal crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely go with Brooke Mueller because she looks like she'd kill you. Looks like she's got a level of crazy in her that she might kill you. Could I be wrong? Sure. I don't know. She could be the nicest lady in the world and just going through some drug problems, but she looks like she's got that crazy to her. And yeah, she looks absolutely like somebody that would do some crazy shit. And I don't know. I wish both of them nothing but the best. I wish everyone that was in this Netflix documentary nothing but the best. I'm sure we all do. Final thoughts, Wasted?
I can't wait next meltdown.
All right. Liars, final thoughts?
How can I follow that? I can't.
Yeah, neither am I. Liars, take us out, brother.
Right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Look for us on YouTube. That's our main channel. Hit like and subscribe. Leave us a comment, please. We will get back to you. Check us out on Rumble. And if Rumble, check us out on Spotify. And from there, wherever else get your podcasts. All right.